Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today is another Manga Monday recommendations video. Today I'm recommending to you Valentine's Day manga. These are all going to be short shōjo manga. The last Manga Mondays recommendation I also talked about short shonen manga, so I thought I would continue on with that thought and bring it into this one and also share with you a number of short shōjo manga. So these are all going to be fairly young boy-girl relationships in 3 or less volumes, and they're all titles that I really like, and they're all titles that I read over and over. Well, some more than others, some are still fairly new to my collection, but they're all really fun, and if you're into shoujo manga at all, I think you would really enjoy them. I certainly do. And it's nice to have a couple of options for what to read, because sometimes you're just not in the mood to read a long series, or you don't have time and you just want to kind of fill maybe the next half hour of your life with some manga, and it's nice to be able to actually complete an entire series in a sitting. So anyway, I thought I would share those with you, and here are my recommendations for Valentine's Day manga. The first manga that I'm going to show you is 2 volumes long. It's actually a fairly new series, so it should be still pretty easy to find, and that is The Heiress and the Chauffeur by Keiko Ishihara. This is a Taisho era manga, so it takes place in a particular time period. Essentially, this young woman on the cover, she is a wealthy young lady, and she has a chauffeur, hence the name, and they have been friends, or, you know, he has been a servant of the family for so long, and they've been friends since she was a child, so they have developed a very close bond. But of course, because he is the hired help and because she is an heiress, they can't cross that line. They can't ever fall in love, and more importantly, especially in this manga, they can never touch. So basically 2 volumes long, of course, of a very cute relationship where that border needs to be crossed at some point. So really cute manga, and I definitely would recommend it if you especially if you like a Taisho era. I love the costume from Taisho era, so I was particularly happy to see this when it was released. Another 2-volume series. This one I hope is still easy to find, but I did buy it quite a long time ago, but I think it's still in print. This is Backstage Prints by Kanako Sakurakoji. This is the same author as Blackbird, and Blackbird does come under fire because it does have a male character who is quite manipulative and domineering and abusive, and so it's not really a very appealing relationship, and it's certainly not a favorite series of mine. I know a lot of people really like it. I've been recommended it many times since starting this channel, so I am very aware of it, but I actually think Sakura Koji is better in her short series, and I think she writes more convincing relationships in her short series, and ones that you want to kind of maybe support a little bit more. This is a relationship where there's a girl, and she's not particularly interested in, you know, romance, and there is a boy. He is the genius son of a very established kabuki family, and so he is an up-and-coming kabuki performer. So this is actually a story of her accidentally running into him, and he ends up, in a way, it ends up being where she is blackmailed into becoming his assistant, and then of course a romance follows from that. It is sort of that trademark personality, but at the same time it does feel a little bit more believable and a little bit less abusive. And it's just a really cute story, and it's a really cute romance, and it's just sort of a fun story about falling in love with someone who's really famous, and what does that mean. I really enjoy this one, and I actually read it fairly often, so I actually would recommend it. Of course, I'm going to recommend to you a few out-of-print titles, and hopefully you'll have a chance to pick these up. But because they're short, they should actually be a little bit easier than trying to find something very long that's out of print, because you really only have to track down a couple volumes. The first one I'm going to recommend to you is published by CMX, which has, of course, gone defunct. It is a 2-volume series called Lapis Lazuli Crown by Natsude Kawase. I really like this particular author. She writes very sweet and pure love type relationships. The characters are always quite supporting of each other and really friendly, happy type characters, so I just really like that. It's always something that puts me in a good mood. This is basically about Mille. She is a daughter of a sort of a disgraced family. You know, she used to be part of nobility, but they've of course been disgraced, and so they've lost money, and so now she is working at, you know, a cafeteria. She, as part of the nobility, actually has magic in her family, magic in her blood, and she has decided rather than try and become a magic user, even though she has very strong, unwieldy magic, she wants to instead just marry nobility and enjoy a good life, because she's had a hard life up to this point. Of course, she ends up running into this young man here, and he encourages her to maybe try and develop her magical abilities, and he's really excited about her strength. So it's just this really cute and fun story, and I just really like it. Fun little fantasy. I would recommend it if you have a chance to pick it up somewhere. The next title is a single volume. It is out of print. It was published by Del Rey, but it was incredibly popular when it came out, and there's a good reason for it. It's a really fun story. That is Train Man, a shōjo manga by Machiko Ocha. This is based on Densha Otoko by Hitori Nakano. 3 editions of this story came out in just about the same year from different publishers. This is the only one that is shōjo manga. There's one that was josei and one that was shonen, but this one's the only one that is shōjo, and it's actually one of, I think, probably the second best one. It's way better than the shonen one. It is basically the story of a young couple, I guess. The girl is sort of a kind of well-to-do, very fine young lady, and she's riding the train, and she is being sexually harassed by someone, and so this young man who is very shy and kind of reserved, he ends up actually standing up for her, and the relationship continues past, you know, him saving her on the train. His sort of secret is that he is an otaku, and he isn't really sure how to actually deal with this girl, even though he really likes her, and so he goes online and is constantly messaging on this particular message board and getting advice from the people online about how to pursue this girl in this relationship. It is, you know, I think the fantasy was that it was based on a true story. I don't think that, or I think that was debunked. I'm not entirely sure, but it was based off of sort of a cell phone novel, which also came out in English, and I unfortunately don't have. There's also a live action movie, which is really fun. You should check it out. I think came out through Viz. But this one is just a really fun story. It's really cute. It's a different type of relationship, and it's just really fun to see how many people are involved in this relationship and how many people are kind of affected by this cute little relationship. And it's just, you know, single volume. I would recommend it if you have a chance to pick it up. A lot of fun. And then the last title that I recommend is actually a 3-volume series, so this is the longest one, and it should still be in print. It might not be because it is a little bit old at this point as well, and that is Punch by Rie Takada. Rie Takada is one of my favorite shoujo mangaka. I really, really love the way that she writes her stories, and I love the way that she writes her female characters in particular. They're just super fun and spunky, and they have so much personality, and they're always quite strong-willed in a way, so they kind of affect their lives a little bit more than some of these other kind of shrinking violet type characters that you get in a lot of shoujo manga. So I just really, really love her stories. I like the guys in them as well. They're always very pretty and handsome. This is essentially the story about Elle, who's this girl here on this cover, and she is the daughter of, or actually the granddaughter of a champion boxer, and he has a gym. I don't think her parents are around at all, so she's actually living with her grandfather, and he has basically betrothed her to the son of his, or grandson of his ex-rival, who happens to be this man here, and he is sort of an up-and-coming fighter. She wants nothing, of course, to do with boxing, and so she's trying to get out of it, but every time she sort of falls in love with someone and tries to start a relationship with them, of course, her fiancé bullies them, or you know, he's such a formidable force that nobody is willing to date her, and so she's really, of course, quite upset about it, until one day she pretends to be dating this street fighter here. And of course, it turns into something more, but she doesn't like fighting, and so she wants to avoid kind of that type of relationship. This one's really funny. This one's really cute. It, I don't know, I don't know how I would describe this. It's not as overly romantic as maybe some of the other ones that just seem like more sweepingly romantic. This one is definitely more spunky and more funny, and I definitely laugh out loud when I read it, and it has probably my very favorite accidentally seeing someone naked in the shower scene, I think, in all of, you know, anime and manga. This one does it the best. So, you know, it's a scenario that happens very, very often in shoujo manga, and this one is definitely the very best one for that particular scene because it's so funny. But at any rate, I really, really recommend this, and I really recommend Rie Takada in general. I think she's just a delightful shoujo mangaka, and I don't hear her very often because I don't think a lot of her titles actually get translated into anime or don't get adapted into anime, so I don't think that she is sort of as discovered as some other authors. But her titles are just absolutely delightful, and I would recommend them. So those are the titles that I recommend for reading on Valentine's Day or Valentine's Day shoujo manga. I think they're all really fun. They're really quick to get through. They're pretty easy to locate, I would say. And they're just, you know, fun and romantic titles that I enjoy myself, and I hope that you would enjoy them as well. If you've read any of these titles, I would love to know what you think of them. You know, did I get it right? Do you have any recommendations for short romantic shoujo manga? I would love to know it. And if you want to participate in future Manga Monday recommendations posts on your blog or on YouTube, of course that link will be down in the description below. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.